So what I'm working on today is the galley. These are the galley bones. I have a dry fit here. Nothing is locked down yet except the front panel, rear panel. And dry fit so that we can see how the contours of the van are going to behave with this box framing. You know, we want to utilize and take advantage of every little square inch in the van. And then there's a lot of little details in here that a dry fit helps. You know, you got to lay stuff in, you got to see how it fits, and I'll take you through that just so you can see what's what. So, dry fit, I got to put it together, but not fully, because I need to make sure that my parts and components are going to work. There's a bunch of little details that go along with this tank installation in the galley. So you remember the little baby bridge that's over here. This is going to hold all our water components, water pump, water heater, glycol pumps. This water pump is a self-priming pump. It can suck air and then water. And we bought it specially for that reason, besides the quality of the company. We're going to use a pickup tube. We're going in through the top of the tank, back here in the corner, and I'm going to make a pickup tube that goes down into the tank. That has a couple of advantages. The first one, obviously, is that it can't leak. We're putting the hole in the top of the tank. If I put that inlet down here, it could leak and fill the van. That's very bad. The other thing is, with a pickup tube going down into the bottom of the tank, we're able to suck out more of the water at any given time. Another thing I'm doing, here's the widest opening in the galley because of the double burner induction cooktop that goes in the top. So I'm going to cut in an access hatch right here. So you would pull the drawers out, and then you could unscrew the 8-inch cap, and you have access to the tank for cleaning or inspection, an inspection hatch. So that's another detail we're throwing in here. When we mount the tank, we're going to have our 1x1 square tubing glued to the floor, and that's going to come right up to the bottom of the tank. You can see that. I'm going to border the bottom of the tank like a collar with some 3/4 inch by 1x2, let's say. So that's going to go all around the perimeter on the bottom of the tank, the floor, and then my tubing will come up and kiss it, and that is what will lock that water tank into place. The other advantage to doing this is if in the future this tank needed to be replaced and you couldn't get the exact fit because you glued the thing in without any leeway, you now have 3/4 of an inch in every direction in order to put a new tank in place. And this does soften the way the tank is held in place rather than having hard aluminum cuts or whatever. The wood is nice for that. So that's another option that I'm working on. And then with the 80/20, I can come in here on top with some cross members. I can lock these into the galley frame, and that keeps the tank down. This is kind of like a strapping. This locks the tank into place. The floor, the finished floor, is going to be over 1.5 inches higher than the tank. The tank is going to sit in its own little pocket, its own little depression, and that's what's going to lock it in place. These will prevent it from bouncing up off the floor when you're driving like a madman down the road. These bones are 18 inches out, 18 deep. One of the primary reasons for that is standard size drawer slides. And the fact that we're using 80/20 with channels in it allows us to mount these drawer slides anywhere vertically. And it gives us the ability to fine tune it X, Y, and Z axis. If you were in a plywood box construction and you drilled these, screwed these in, well, now you made those holes. If you needed to make a fine adjustment, you'd have to go to some other mounting hole on the glide here. But here, we get full adjustment on these slides. I won't be using these. We're going to be using Blum. Blum is a very, very fine product for hinges and drawer glides. What else have I got going on here? Oh, I got to bring it down the other end and we'll pick up down there. Down this end of the tank, we got some other details going on. There's another strap to hold it vertically. This is the tank fill. Okay, so now this is an outside wall to the galley when the slider's open. So you're going to have your freshwater tank fill mounted flush on that wall. It's inside the van. The only way to get at it is to open the slider. And that's a trend that I'm going to start. No more filling your water tank from outside access. I want that fresh water fill inside the van, so it's protected and it's secure and it's yours and yours only. So that's what we're doing here. Fresh water fill, again, a perforation through the top of the tank. So 3 perforations so far, they're all in the top of the tank. We have minimized our risk of leaking. Another thing I got to concern myself with in this area is my sink is here. So I've got a sink basin, and they want drawers. Of course, you need some drawers in this area. So I'm going to be using the duckbill trap. It's a trapless trap. I've used these on boats before, and what that allows me to do is I can come off the bottom drain of the sink either with this trap or with PVC pipe, and then run the trap straight down through the floor. I'm going to go directly down through the van floor and across to my gray tank. So these duckbill traps can be mounted vertically or horizontally. So they are real space savers, and they're very easy to remove, replace, clean. So that's good stuff. So, you know, I had to lay this in here to make sure I've got access to cutting my hole. Where's it going to go? It's got to be inside the galley. Imagine if I cut it outside the galley. We had a pipe running out. Here's another thing I'm going to do is I am going to put a fresh tank drain on this tank. So I just laid this here to remind me. This will be the little utility valve that's under the van in order to drain the freshwater tank rather than run it dry through the pump. You all know about that. So at this point, I haven't decided if I'm going to make that perforation in the bottom side of the tank here, as low as I can get it without compromising the corner, or should I put it directly under the tank and land that through a hole in the floor so it's direct right out the bottom of the tank. So that's another move I have to make. So obviously all of these banks, 1, 2, 3, 4 banks are going to have drawers. Alex is going to grain match off of 1 sheet of walnut plywood. We'll make all our drawer faces. The drawer faces are going to sit proud on the front of my frame. So 3/4 inch architectural walnut plywood. I also have to see where that lands, what that does to the width of my hallway coming across, what that's going to do up here when we got a countertop coming over it. You know, you got to take all this into account. So once I get these details locked up and I've decided and I've approved them, I've marked them off, then I can take everything outside, add my pickups and my elbows, and I can build this thing finally, lock it all up with Loctite. Then it's ready to set back in place. And you literally walk it back in at that point, drop it in place, screw it into the floor, done. Screw it into the wall. Oh, I want to show you something on the end here. Another fun little feature I'm thinking about is a sight tube. You know that the water tank is right behind this wall. And you know that my fill, my freshwater tank fill, is going to be right here. So you're going to be standing here, open a door, put the hose in here with a filter, inline filter. This is going to be a sight tube. We can cut this little opening into the Luan wall, and I'm going to have a momentary contact switch here. When you press the button, a light shines into the fresh water tank, probably from the opposite side. Now when you do that, day or night, it's going to reflect the level of water in that sight tube. So you just hold the button, it lights up, you see where your water's at, you know when to stop filling. Now we can actually calibrate this thing and put some really cool call outs on here, full, half, 3/4, but it's visual. It can't fail. You remember me talking about that drain, sink drain, right? I got to drill through the floor. How the hell am I going to know where that hole's got to go? I know where it's got to go up here. We all saw it. But how do I check underneath to make sure that area is clear? There isn't a chassis member, a brake line in the way, or a fuel line. Can you imagine? So here's what I did. I took a square. See that? Yep, you see the square, and a spring clamp. Now you lay this square down, tall side up, because you need the height, and you slide it in until it just kisses the edge of the van. Use your spring clamp as a tripod. So you got the 2 feet of the spring clamp and the square itself, you've made a tripod. You made a tripod. Okay, you push that right up, you kiss the edge. Now you've got a constant above and below the van. You've got a fixed point where you can measure from or to. So if I know that my drain's in there, it's at 19 inches to this leading edge. Now I come under the van, I go 19 inches, and I can see where that is under the van and see if I'm clear to start drilling. So that's a neat little trick. Tripod. All right? Ah! Oof. Oh.